My husband sold our house. Without telling me, I came home expecting an ordinary evening. Instead, a stranger opened my front door. He looked at me with a confused smile and asked, "Can I help you?" I laughed nervously. "I think you've made a mistake. This is my house." The man slowly shook his head. "No, ma'am. I bought this house yesterday." Every sound around me disappeared. My shopping bags slipped from my hands. The oranges rolled across the driveway. I stared at him, unable to breathe. "This isn't possible." He quietly handed me a folder. Inside were legal documents, the seller's name, my husband, Michael Carter. Every page carried his signature. He had sold our house, without telling me. Then one line caught my attention. "Seller confirms no spouse has ownership interest in this property." I froze. That sentence was a lie. I was his wife. I had helped pay every mortgage payment for 11 years. At that moment, I didn't realize losing the house was only the beginning. By sunrise, I would discover that my husband hadn't just sold our home. He had erased me from his entire life. My name is Sarah Carter, and this is the story of the day everything I believed turned into a lie. Michael and I had been married for 12 years. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We built our dream home together. Every weekend we painted walls, planted flowers, and dreamed about growing old there. At least, that's what I believed. Michael always handled the paperwork. He said numbers gave me headaches. I trusted him. Why wouldn't I? He kissed me every morning before work. He called every afternoon. He never gave me a reason to doubt him. Or so I thought. Standing outside my own house, I called him. Straight to voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Again. His phone was off. That had never happened before. The new owner looked uncomfortable. "I'm sorry," he said. "The real estate agent said the seller had already moved." Moved? Michael hadn't packed a single suitcase. Or had he? I rushed to the hotel across town. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I returned to the house while the movers finished unloading furniture. One of the movers walked outside carrying a small wooden box. "Excuse me," I asked. "Where did you find that?" "In the attic." He handed it to me. Inside were old family photos. Every picture with me had been removed. Only Michael remained, as if I had never existed. That chilled me more than losing the house. Someone wanted to erase me completely. I drove straight to Michael's office. His secretary looked surprised. "Michael resigned 2 weeks ago." "What?" "He accepted another job." "No," she frowned. "I thought you knew." I didn't. She handed me an envelope. "He asked us to give this to you if you came." Inside was only one key. No note, no explanation, just a storage unit number. My hands trembled. Why would he leave me a storage key? The storage facility was 30 minutes away. When the manager opened the unit, my heart stopped. Boxes, suitcases, family albums, my jewelry, my grandmother's wedding ring, our dining table, everything valuable from our house. Michael had secretly emptied our home little by little over several months. So slowly, I never noticed. At the back stood a large metal safe. The key opened it. Inside, passports. One belonged to Michael. The second belonged to a woman named Emily Carter. Her photo made my knees buckle. She looked almost exactly like me. Who was she? Under the passports was a birth certificate. Emily Carter, daughter, father, Michael Carter. Mother, Rebecca Collins. She was 17 years old. Michael had a daughter I had never known existed. I drove to Rebecca's address. An elderly woman answered. "I'm looking for Rebecca." She looked at me sadly. "Rebecca passed away 3 years ago." My heart sank. "What about Emily?" The woman hesitated. "She left with her father." "When?" "About 6 months ago." 6 months. exactly when Michael started acting strangely. Then she asked quietly, "You're Sarah, aren't you?" I stared at her. "How do you know my name?" Rebecca told me. She always wondered if you'd ever learn the truth. What truth? The old woman handed me a sealed envelope. She said only after she died. I opened it inside my car. The letter began, "Dear Sarah, if you're reading this, Michael finally lied to you the way he lied to me." Rebecca explained everything. Years before meeting me, Michael had abandoned her and their daughter. He disappeared without paying child support. When Emily became seriously ill, Rebecca found him again. She didn't want revenge. She only wanted help saving their daughter. Michael promised he would help. Instead, he disappeared again. I couldn't believe it. The man I loved wasn't just dishonest. He had abandoned his own child. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. It was Michael. His voice sounded exhausted. "I'm sorry. Where are you?" "I can't tell you." "You sold our house." "I had no choice." "No choice?" "You'll understand." Then the call ended. Minutes later, I received a text. "Don't trust anyone from Harper Realty. That was the agency that sold our house." Why would he warn me? I visited the agency immediately. The receptionist became nervous after hearing Michael's name. A manager invited me into his office. He smiled too much. That made me suspicious. He insisted everything was legal. As I stood to leave, I noticed a family photo on his desk. Standing beside him was Michael, not smiling, looking frightened. Behind the frame was today's newspaper. The photo had been taken only weeks earlier. Michael wasn't his friend. He looked trapped. I hired a private investigator. Within 48 hours, he found something shocking. Harper Realty wasn't just selling houses. It was laundering money through fake property sales. Dozens of families had lost everything. Michael had worked as an accountant before leaving his job. The investigator believed someone forced him to help hide illegal transactions. If he refused, they threatened Emily. Everything suddenly made sense. The fake sale, the missing money, the lies. Michael hadn't been running away from me. He had been trying to keep us alive. 3 nights later, another text arrived. Midnight, old train station. Come alone. I almost didn't go, but I needed answers. Michael stood under a broken streetlight. He looked older, thinner. His eyes were filled with regret. They have Emily. They said they'd kill her if I went to the police. So you sold our house? I needed cash to buy time. Why didn't you tell me? They were watching us. Before I could answer, headlights surrounded the station. Black SUVs. Men climbed out. Michael pushed me behind a concrete wall. Run! A gunshot echoed through the night. Michael collapsed. I screamed. Then police sirens filled the air. The investigator had secretly traced my phone after receiving Michael's text. The criminals were arrested after a short chase. Emily was rescued from a warehouse outside the city. Michael survived. Barely. Months later, the court canceled the fraudulent house sale. The criminals were sentenced to prison. The buyer received his money back. Our home legally returned to me. But it no longer felt like home. Michael recovered slowly. One afternoon, he handed me divorce papers. I don't deserve another chance. For the first time in months, I agreed with him. Some betrayals begin with lies. Others begin with silence. He had hidden a daughter, hidden his past, hidden his fear. Even if his final choices were made to save Emily, the secrets had destroyed everything long before the criminals appeared. I sold the house myself, not because I had to, because I refused to live inside walls built on lies. Emily and I stayed in touch. She had lost years with her father because of his mistakes. Neither of us could recover that time, but we could choose a different future. The day I walked away from the old house, I looked back only once. Then I smiled, because I finally understood something. A house can be rebuilt. A life can be rebuilt. But trust, once sold, is almost impossible to buy back.